people of the internet, and welcome to yet another FNAF 2 movie news video. Of course, earlier this morning we got the first full-length trailer for the second Five Nights at Freddy's movie, releasing exclusively in theaters on December 5th. But then later that night, we also had an hour-long panel detailing the movie at San Diego Comic-Con with the filmmakers and the cast. So that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Brand new details on the cast members, brand new details on the movie itself, brief mentions of the third FNAF movie, and even, surprisingly, a security breach movie. There's a lot to dive into with this SDCC panel, but before we do that, after the trailer came out this morning, we got this brand new behind-the-scenes image of Josh Hutcherson, of course, who plays Mike, as well as director Emma Tammi. And as you can see, they're shooting a scene in the FNAF 2 office. You got the fan, you got the desk, you got the cameras. But I think the most interesting thing about this behind-the-scenes photo is the map just behind Emma, which looks to be a full-on blueprint for this FNAF 2 location. It looks like we have the entrance area up by the top. You can also spot the bridge that the characters pass over in the trailer. So of course, those big lines on either side that go into loops is actually going to be that log ride that we saw that for some reason is a part of this new pizzeria. And then lastly, for some very quick behind the scenes, we got another shot actually of the FNAF 2 office. This time, it's new addition to the FNAF universe, Mckenna Grace, who plays a brand new character in the film. And she decided to recreate the Join Us for a Bite Burger King meme on the set of FNAF 2. Which is absolutely crazy. But what's really crazy now is let's finally hop into all those SDCC reveals. And like I said earlier, there's a lot, so let's not waste any more time. The panel kicked off with Emma Tammi and Jason Blum taking the stage. And one of the first things that Emma talked about was her praising the collaboration that they had with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, saying we really wanted to make the animatronics feel and move as practically as possible versus the CG route. Which is also incredible, but it just didn't feel right for the nostalgia that Freddy's invokes.
And we met with the Henson team, and they totally got that. They obviously have been doing that for decades, masterfully. And on top of that, they really recognized that Freddy's got this huge fan base, and that the designs for the game were really important. So they understood that the collaboration and bringing them to life in real life was like a crucial component that we really needed to get right and work with staff around. And yeah, so it's been amazing. And in the second one, there's like more than 3 times as many animatronics than there were in the first movie. So that was epic! And the Henson team and Robert Bennett, who was our lead designer, just did an amazing job. Can't wait 3 minutes to see them. And he's not coming up just now. We're seeing more.
As you just heard as well, Emma confirmed that there's more than 3 times the animatronics in the second film than what we saw in FNAF 1. Even some animatronics that we have yet to see, actually, which kind of makes sense. We've yet to see Main Man Withered Freddy, for example. But much like the FNAF 2 game compared to the FNAF 1 game, FNAF 2 just has so many more characters. The toys, the Wizards, Puppet, Balloon Boy, and who knows what other secret surprise characters they're going to throw in. But then after that, we saw some cast members take the stage. First up is good old Josh Hutcherson, who of course plays Mike. Then we also had Piper Rubio, who plays Abby, Theodis Crane, who plays Jeremiah, who's returning. And then lastly for now, we had Teo Briones, who is, again, another brand new member to the FNAF universe. And they actually revealed a bit more about their character. Their name is going to be Alex. And they are going to be the videographer in the Paranormal Activity web show. We saw in the trailer these teams walking around, exploring the abandoned FNAF 2 location. They've got all their filming equipment. So it looks like this group is comprised of a bunch of pretty much ghost hunters. And Tails' character named Alex is going to be the one shooting all the film. We got a bit more info on Crane's character of Jeremiah. He played a very minor role in the first film. He was one of Mike's friends. And his character in FNAF 2 expresses concern over the budding romance between Mike and Vanessa, with Crane saying he's a vibes guy, and the vibes are off. So we were all watching that trailer, kind of gushing over the fact that, oh my gosh, Mike, Vanessa, what a match made in heaven. But at least to Jeremiah, he's not buying it. Maybe he knows something that we don't, maybe he's just not buying it, or maybe he's just not a fan of Schmelly. But then next up for characters, we got a bit more details about Abby, being played by Piper Rubio. And as we saw in the trailers, Abby is now very much into robotics. So much so that she's created something for her science fair. And according to Piper, quote, it's a stand-in for her friends. She has no one to talk to about it, so she has to make it. We do see her build a Chica, like miniature robot in the trailer, so I'd assume this is the project that she made for the science fair. And also, I'm just now realizing this quote might actually explain the fast talker. You know, she has no one else to talk about these friends of hers that she doesn't have anymore. Maybe that's why she started talking to this fast talker. And pretty soon, it's gonna be talking back to her. But now finally, getting to Josh's character of Mike, he says that Mike and Abby have been through a lot.
Mike is just wanting to get back to some normal life. As he's trying to provide stability for Abby, he's trying to find his way in the world. He just wants to have a calm, nice, normal life. But that just can't happen in FNAF. Well, it's okay. No, you know, it's, I think it's really just that, you know, I think that Mike is in a way trying to, he's got all this trauma and stuff that he's lived through in the first film of the story, and he's, I think, just trying to fake it till you make it without really working through all that stuff that happened. And that happens to him again. So, I don't know, poor Mike.
So Mike is very clearly kind of fed up. He's done with Freddy's at this point. He just wants to go back to living a normal life, which is actually something we hear Vanessa say in that trailer, you know, when they're on that date, when they're at the restaurant. She's like, oh, is this what it's like to be normal? So Mike is really trying to drag himself away from Freddy's, but of course, Freddy's is not going to let go of him that easy. So much so, I think in the trailer when we see him go, oh no, I think that's the exact moment he's like, God damn, oh shit. Here we go again. Josh did reveal that his favorite animatronic in the new movie is Mangle. He was very impressed with what Jim Henson's Creature Shop did with Mangle. And also, apparently, as he was teasing how much bigger the sequel is, he said that there's going to be multiple Freddy's franchise locations. Now, franchise locations is a term we heard at the beginning of the new trailer. When the group first shows up to Freddy's, and one guy's like, this isn't the Freddy's I remember. But then McKenna's character says, oh, you're thinking of the franchise locations. This location is the original one. So there's a few different interpretations for what Josh meant here. Either he simply meant there's two restaurants now, because we do know we are going to go back at some point, at least see the original FNAF 1 pizzeria, because they had to rebuild the facade. It was decorated with Fazbear posters. Maybe he just means you're going to see more than one Freddy's locations in the movie. Maybe he means there's more restaurants identical to FNAF 1 that has Freddy and the Gang. Or, I think the most exciting option is maybe he's teasing Fredbears. Seeing Fredbear in Spring Bonnie up on the big screen would really be incredible. I don't think we would get it in this movie, but maybe, just maybe, they're gonna tease a little bit of that in this film. But then again, we did also hear McKenna say that the FNAF 2 location is the original location, so maybe they're just gonna retcon Fredbear's Diner. I really don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts. Now, unfortunately, it didn't seem like Elizabeth Lail nor Matthew Lillard could make the panel. However, very nicely, we did get a video message from Matthew where he implored audiences to go out and support FNAF 2 when it comes out. In the video, he said, please go check it out, because if you check it out and it's a hit, they're going to make a third movie, and then I get to kill Mike Schmidt. We're going to talk a bit more about FNAF 3 movie coming up pretty soon. Now, I'm going to assume that this was just Matthew joking around. Absolutely seems like the type of thing he'd say. I don't think he would just outright spoil the fact that Mike would die in the third film. But then finally, for his video, Matthew introduced Skeet Ulrich, who has officially joined the cast. He came out on the stage to join the rest of the members, but unfortunately, he didn't reveal too much about who he's playing.
What the fuck? Who are you playing in this movie? And how does it feel to be welcomed into the Freddy's universe? I cannot. I wish I could, but I was told I cannot. I will say I play somebody with a very particular and specific past, and somebody who has a deep emotional tie to what's going on.
Even though I think we all know, especially from the brand new description he just gave, he's absolutely gonna be Henry. I mean, come on, I play someone with a very particular and specific past, and somebody with a very deep emotional tie-in to what's going on. Absolutely has to be Henry, especially because we now know, confirmed from the new trailer, we are getting Charlie in FNAF 2. We're getting her origin, we're getting likely her death, and possession of the puppet, which is a very Henry-focused plot point. At this point, I feel like they've made it so obvious that he's Henry that I'm really confused why they're trying to save it as a surprise here. But anyways, then they moved on to an open AMA section, where the cast was asked about how much FNAF they've played. Josh Hutcherson said that he tried playing the first game one time, but that he wasn't very good at it, so he stopped playing. Skeet said, I tried to play the game, I had no idea what I was doing, but I'll try again. Jason Blum said that despite their excitement for the first film before it came out, they didn't crack development on FNAF 2 until they knew the original movie was a success. With Jason saying, quote, that's bad luck. I really encourage the creative partners, no matter how confident we are about the first movie, to start thinking of a second movie before the first one comes out, or else the first movie suffers. Which I don't really know if I'm buying this whole we weren't planning out a second movie until the first movie was a success thing, because Matthew Lillard was signed on for 3 movies. Scott said for years before the movie came out, his plan was always 3 movies. What I think interestingly of all about this topic is that someone asked Jason if they would make a security breach movie, with Blum answering by expressing his hope for a threequel, which is basically just a 3rd installment. I don't think they would skip to security breach at all for a 3rd movie. Maybe like the 3rd movie in a 2nd trilogy if we're lucky, though Jason did talk about FNAF 3, saying if enough people go, we'd be very excited to make a Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I don't know if he's talking about FNAF 2 or FNAF 3, but of course people would go, Jason. And again, I just find it a bit funny how he's like, yeah, it'd be great to make a 3rd movie. Well, again, we've known that Matthew signed on for 3 movies. Scott wants to do at least 3 movies. And then lastly, for the AMA, we had Emma Tammi talk just a bit about the animatronics in this movie. She said that these seats are much higher in FNAF 2 and that there's, quote, much more action with the animatronics. Which is something we get a taste of in that new trailer with, like, Mangle on the car, or Wizards in the office, right? Bonnie bursting in through the vents, Chica bursting into the office, Mike has to put on his mask. But then finally, we move on to something very special. Because to conclude the panel, they showed attendees the first clip of FNAF 2. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like the clip will be released publicly, though we do have statements and descriptions of what was shown. First off, for a brief description from Deadline, the clip featured Freddy Carter's character, one of the new actors in FNAF 2, who's an eerie security guard dude giving a tour to a group of young teens of the spooky animatronic characters in the pizza place. With ScreenRant providing a much more detailed description that reads, the video crew walks into the restaurant. Freddy Carter's character says, welcome to Freddy's. Mckenna Grace's character asks if she can then record, with Carter's character, who again is the security guard, giving the group a tour, during which he said that the marionette that directed the animatronics was truly one of a kind. Quote, they never made another one. Then, there's a weird doll stuck to the wall. The camera pans past animatronics under clear tarps. They look brand new. Quote, Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. Mckenna Grace's character asks where Foxy is, with the guard responding saying that Foxy was involved in a failed take-apart and put-back-together experiment. Grace's character hears a scary children's music box on the microphone. Quote, fair warning, this place will prey on your imagination if you let it, says the security guard. Quote, shall we continue? Oh, okay, so it looks like the clip that attendees got to see was the paranormal investigator group first entering the FNAF 2 establishment, being guided by the security guard, being played by Freddy Carter, who, I'm just gonna say it, I think might be Jeremy Fitzgerald. I couldn't find if they said Freddy Carter's character name in the clip itself, but I mean, come on. He's the night guard at the FNAF 2 location. I feel like it's pretty set in stone he's gonna be Jeremy Fitzgerald. So he is willingly, interestingly enough, giving this paranormal investigator group of young teens a tour around FNAF 2. Again, a restaurant that's been abandoned for decades. He shows them the toy animatronics who are under the tarps. Mckenna Grace asks, hey, what about Foxy? The security guard reveals, oh, Foxy? You mean the mangle, pretty much. Explaining the whole take-apart, put-back-together attraction, and then also briefly touching upon the mangle, saying that they directed the animatronics and that they only made one. A very interesting clip indeed. I'd love to know, what are your thoughts hearing this clip? Again, doesn't seem like it's going to be released. We might have to wait until the movie comes out in December to see this scene play out. But that is also going to do it for the entire San Diego Comic-Con panel. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I know it's probably going to be a very late upload, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. And then also very soon we do need to do a full-on proper breakdown of the trailer. I'm probably going to get that out again as soon as possible, so smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.